Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast, episode 794.
From the sleepy suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio, there are assembled the world's two greatest podcast hosts, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Sean Whalen.
Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast. I'm a big fan of variant covers. My love for Batman is that stuff. Let's talk some comics.
And Jim Segulin.
How's it going, eh? You know me and Superman. I'm really loving what they're doing. Raging Bullets is a spoiler podcast.
Their mission, to discuss DC Comics in books, movies, and television several times a month in 1 to 3 hour episodes. And to serve all mankind.
Outstanding.
Welcome to Raging Bullets. I'm Sean Whalen, Dr. Norge, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Jim, the sensei of the whatnot, Segulin.
How's it going, eh?
Jim, on this episode, we're going to be talking about Justice League Unlimited number 12, DC Ko Knightfight number 1, and Aquaman number 11, as we continue our exploration of DC Ko. We are sponsored, as always, by DCB Service and InStockTrades.com. Mr. Segulin, what's going on over at DCBService.com?
We have DCKO Green Lantern Galactic Slam one shot, 38% off, only $371. And we have DCKO The Kids Are All Fight one shot, 38% off, only $371. Plus, each one of those have multiple variant covers and discounts. So thank you, DCBS.
I am so stoked for this volume. It's DC Finest Green Lantern Earth's Other Green Lantern trade paperback. This collects the first appearance of Guy Gardner. This is Green Lantern 40 to 61, Brave and the Bold number 69, Detective Comics 350, and The Flash 168. There's a lot more team-ups in there, but this is a 608-page book, $39.99 regularly, 55% off, only $17.99. If you have not picked up these volumes, the best way to say it's those essential like Marvel volumes that were coming out for a while, and the showcase DC volumes that were coming out for a while. These are full color. The paper's of very high quality for, a trade collection like this. I have been Joan. Do you have any of these, Jim? These DC Finest books?
I don't think so.
My gosh, the cost for what you get story-wise, 608 pages for $17.99. How do you beat that? These are great volumes if you haven't read these stories. And some of the stories they're collecting in these, if you take a look, they're not available digitally. So some of the ones that I've been grabbing, like the Legion one that I grabbed, those stories aren't all available digitally. So it's definitely worth seeking out these volumes and grabbing some of them. I want to thank DCB Service and InStockTrades.com for continuing to support our show. Mr. Segulin, what kind of a podcast are we?
Raging Bullets is a spoiler podcast. We go in-depth into plotline, story twists, and whatnot of the comics we're discussing on today's show. So if you haven't read the books, you may want to come back later so you can better enjoy the show.
Let's talk some more DCKO.
Nice work, Atom. What are these characters up to?
Our first discussion this episode is going to be of Justice League Unlimited number 12. Mark Waid is the writer, Dan Moore is the artist, Tamra Bonvillain is on colors, Ariana Mayer on letters, cover by Dan Mora, variant cover by Nathan Searcy, Derek Chu, Jeff Spokes, Kevin Wada, Marquise Draper is the associate editor, Paul Kaminsky is the editor, Superman created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster by special arrangement with the Jerry Siegel family. Apologies for any name butchery. This book, and we've talked about this book before, obviously, as an introduction into what's going on with this. This book feels like a flagship book in every way. And with DCKO going on, I should have realized. I knew we were talking about getting a Terrific 10, a Mr. Terrific's team. I did not realize it was going to be here. And I'm so glad it is here and now because I wanted to see this and also getting to know a little bit more about what's going on with these characters. We get a big reveal in this, which we'll talk about organically. But I'm looking at the cover. It is a sharp cover. I love him front and center just because he's been elevated since the movie. I feel like the movie Superman really did. He was a standout character in it. If you ask people who they liked from the movie, he's typically one most people reference. And I'm just glad to see that in the comics he's also getting elevated in this, because I just think he's a great character. He's become what Cyborg was in the last relaunch of Justice League. Remember, Cyborg was kind of like that breakout character at that point. I feel like Mr. Terrific, even though he's been around for quite some time now, I feel like this is his chance to shine in the spotlight, and it's working really well here. But I love this cover. Dan Mora is becoming one of my favorite artists. I love when I add somebody else to that mix that I really enjoy. But I'm picking up variant covers by him. I picked up the Catwoman 80 cover. It was that Halloween, they did those.
Okay,
yeah, which was really, really cool. He's going to be at GalaxyCon Columbus. I am just jonesing to meet him and get a couple things signed, just because I want to add him to the wall, and it's really, really cool. So he's impacted a lot of really big titles, and this certainly is definitely one that his artwork is appreciated. I love how this opens up in Rome. And then we get to see, just all over the world what's happening as a result of DC. With these crossovers, you don't necessarily realize where their focus is going to be. And I love that this continues to be, last episode we were talking a lot in the Titans book about their response to all of this. This is the remaining members of the Justice League, because not everybody went. Not everybody's a part of that. What are they doing? And Houston, they've got a big problem, which we're going to have to talk about. But I really love seeing the team members that are there. We get to see Jessica Cruz, Fire and Ice spotlighted, Adam, and I like Adam's costume's an interesting one. We haven't really talked about this. They've changed his costume up a little bit, I think, to give him much more of a, serious tone to the character. Not that he was a silly character before, but I'm, kind of emphasizing the fact that, he's a big player as well with what they've done with Adam Project. Have you been reading that book?
Yeah, I read the Adam Project. I liked it. That was good.
Yeah. I mean, that's that book. And then obviously I love Barbara Gordon's Batgirl costume. This variation of the costume. I with her, for some reason, I tend to be more of a traditionalist, and I'm digging that look. It combines a lot of different Batgirl outfits into one, and this one's really grown on me.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. When it comes to anybody who has a Bat title in their name or they're part of the Bat family, costume variations never throw me, because it's always that mindset of they tweak their costume for various circumstances and situations and whatnot. So if you've got the title Bat or you're a part of the Bat family, anytime you have an artist variation, it doesn't even remotely faze me. With the Atom, I liked how, especially in Adam Project, there was a distinctive look for Adam and then for Ryan as well. And they each had their own Adam costume that was more fitting to their personality and their style. And like you said, he did tweak his a little bit to be less, I don't want to, because I agree with you on less comical, but also I kind of think of it as less superhero-y, more scientific-y, if that makes sense.
Less superhero-y, more scientific. You actually like that. That's where I was going. I love the way you're saying it, but I actually agree with you. I'm like, that's kind of what I was at. They've done, that's what I meant by more serious. I felt like, we've kind of given him that level. And I agree with you. It is kind of emphasizing more the fact that he's a scientist of the team, and he's doing, when he comes in, he's coming in as an expert. And it gives that flavor. It's like a really good design. I really enjoy the design of it. It's not, they didn't make it black for the sake of making it black, because I love that there's red gloves and things like that. It's got like a wink and a nod to the old Adam flavor, but I agree with you. It's much more about it being serious.
Yeah.
Barbara's leaping into action when, the Adam's kind of doing his own little leap into action. I love the way Dan Mora draws, like her arms outstretched with the cape, kind of doing a glider kind of thing with it. I really like that whole thing. Just works for me. There's been issues of Batman recently that, or Nightwing, I forget which title it was, where they were comparing Dick Grayson's movement to Barbara's. And I believe it was Bruce that was doing it, if I remember at the time. And I just love when artists manage to capture that different look about her and her movement. She's trained herself, but her dance, so to speak, is different than what Dick Grayson does. And this really did a nice job with it. I'm a big Barbara Gordon geek. It goes back to Yvonne Craig, and I think that's where I go with the costume. I like more of the traditional Batgirl costume because that goes back to my childhood. And I'm with you. Like, I'm used to the Bat family having their variations. For Barbara, I feel like this is the greatest marriage of something modern with the classic in there. And it works really well for me.
Oh God. Yeah. And one of the things also we've explored in the Bat title that Barbara's taken her tech. She's got that back glider kind of built into the cape, and she's designed her costume, her style with her tech and all of that. There's more of an integration on the tech side than Bruce has and then Nightwing has even, but so I do like when they give her her own style, her own groove, and it fits her. And especially, that comparison you were talking about, Bruce was making about how she's more of a dancer and, Dick is an acrobat, and it is a different type of fighting style. It is a different movement style, and you do see dancers do move differently than everybody else. I know a bunch of people who are actually, truly trained dancers, and just watching them walk, if you're looking carefully, you'll see a different type of stride than guys like you and I would make across a room. And it's just second nature to them because their body it's muscle memory.
Yeah.
Their body is used to moving X, and they always move that way. And same thing with Dick Grayson, when he's fighting, he's got that acrobatic style, that, the flippy style, but it's, and you have
the famous flippy style. Yeah.
Exactly.
He's well trained in the flippy style.
Yeah, the art of the flip.
When we get to Polka Dot Man, that part is really good because you're taking a villain that they even consider to be like, why are you stealing right now? Like, with everything going on, what is the point? Like, we're evacuating the planet. Where are you going to spend this? And I love that thought process. But with him, I love how he's pleading with them. Please stand back. Don't make me hurt you. You don't understand. And it shows that there's different classes of villains. Like, he's a thief in that kind of sense, but he is more of the classic, back in the day of we slap you on the wrist and we put you away and you're going to get back out in a little bit of time because you haven't done anything on the same level as, you're not like trying to destroy the planet and kill tons of people. He's just a traditional crook. In this case, he is a highly powered up crook. Right. And I love that they used him as a way to show it. There's an art scene I want to shout out. I never thought I'd be sitting there and commenting on rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
But what Dan Mora did and colors and ink and everything like that, with giving that in the first panel, the sense of motion with the hands, I've never seen that before. And it was just a really cool way to show that that's what the eye does when you're seeing something move in that motion. I just thought it was really, really cool the way that he did that. I've just never seen that. I've seen rock, paper, scissors done in comics before. It's such a weird thing to note, I know. But, when I'm commenting on what artists do and what they bring to the table, I love when they give a sense of motion. And that was really clever. I thought it was a really good way to do it.
And it's funny, usually, the kind of the blurry look kind of showing the motion, they reserve that kind of stuff for flashes because they're moving so fast. So I like you, I noticed that. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
I like attention. I love attention to detail.
The details, yeah.
Because it takes time, and I'm aware of that, and they've got to be very, very judicious with their time because of the fact they're trying to get this in 30 days. And I just really appreciate the fact that when they put little details like in there, I like that sense of motion. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The boom afterwards. Mm-hmm. That's another panel that, you could very easily overlook it and just say, oh, that's kind of cool. But going through and just looking at the look in Barbara, and she's like, stretched out and in pain, and stuff going on with, with Adam right there. That's another one. I was like, oh, that looks cool. That's a good looking boom.
Before you get to that though, the Adam punch. I thought was really great too, where he gave himself that power of the 300-pound man. Adam's ability to shift weight and be able to do that. It's not with him just about shrinking. It really is mass and being able to expand up and be able to hit with that kind of power is just super cool. I love when Adam does that kind of stuff. And it was a good reminder. But you're right, the boom sequence was pretty critical because he was telling him, like, don't do this. It's not a good idea. And the two of them are in critical condition. Because of it. If they did not have the purple healing ray they're being taken into, they would have been out for a significant amount of time because of this.
Yeah.
So big deal. And two of the smarter ones, when you think about it. Adam and Barbara, if you're going over the DC crew, as far as strategy and being able to, you got your, like, one of your top scientists and Oracle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
this was a kind of like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Your two of your smarter people just got taken off the board by Polka Dot Man. And they're just like, what the heck's going on here? And I love the fact that, the rest of them are looking at this saying, hey, what is going on here? We've got way too much. These people who should be lower tiered villains have some serious power ups. What's going on here? And I love the fact that, as this event is going on, there's still the story is continuing. And I talked about it last time. I'm probably going to talk about it next time as well. I love the fact that in these titles, these tie-in titles, it's not just a wink and a nod to the event. It's actually directly tying into it. And you're seeing their impact of the event going on in the title. I love this, man. Well, I love how they're doing the tie-in.
They brought back in a villain I forgot about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it makes a lot of sense. Because we've got all these villains now that are on Earth and they need something. It's either you go with the heroes and evacuate the planet, you look for another way. And here's the thing. I don't know what the right answer is with this. Mm-hmm. As far as you're looking for some form of sanctuary. And what would you do to get some form of sanctuary? And it's interesting here. I loved the idea of showing us what happened organically with Polka Dot Man and then coming back and showing us what Captain Cold and Heatwave were doing. And, just being able to see Replicant and Matter Master and all of that stuff that was going on. It was really cool to see what was happening and then build to Neuron. Yeah. And bring in the fact that, well, guys, we kind of forgot about Neuron, and apparently he's offering them a safe haven in hell.
Yeah.
I don't know. I as much as superpowers and stuff like that sound pretty cool to me, making a deal with literally the devil
is not a good idea.
No, it never ends well with Neuron.
And here's the funny thing. Mm-hmm. This is one of those moments where if I was one of these villains, one of the lower tiered, lamer villains, what I would do, I would use this moment to do I'd change over. I'd change teams, This would be my moment where I went from being a heel to being a face. And you could get away with the face turn here.
Yeah.
Because the world's an impact. Even the heroes, hey, listen, we fought in the past. This is bigger than both of us. I'm on your side. What do you need me to do?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And the heroes would take the help from the villains. Now, granted, they would be eyeballing them the entire time, making sure what are they going to do a swerve back.
Depending on the villain.
Yeah, depending on the villain. But these lower tiered people, that they're talking about, again, calling Captain Cold and Heatwave lower tiered, that's a debate.
It's the Rogues Gallery. That's not lower tier.
That's no lower tier.
Yeah.
But again, the Rogues Gallery could get away with it. Very easily say, hey, this is, it's about the job. There's no more jobs to do if the planet dies. Mm-hmm. We're in it. And all the rogues, 100% would be accepted.
Then when this is over, all bets are off. And you can make that kind of hang.
And they would make that statement and they could get away with it, and Polka Dot Man and Matter Master, or also as he was referred to as Matter, Floppy Pointy Hat Master, could seriously go, hey, I'm in with the heroes. Let's do this. And when all this is said and done, if the heroes win and if everybody remembers they sided with you, you can actually maybe parlay that into something, time off with good served or something like that. So this really could be a chance for the villains to actually, lead a productive life and not have to be constantly looking over their shoulder. This is a good way for them to restart. So it is kind of, funny that, they sit there and these villains are like, oh no, we're going to make a deal with the devil instead and have safe haven in hell. I'm like, guys, poor decision making is what's got you in this problem. You're seeing it here.
Terrific's team he starts putting together is an interesting one because we've got the Peter David Aquaman, we've got Power Girl, more the traditional Power Girl, Guy Gardner Warrior, Superman Blue. Did you read Superman Red and Blue? Did you ever read any of that? That stuff was great. That stuff was great. We get one of the incarnations of Hawkman, Tim Drake Batman, which I didn't realize that was Tim until this reveal right here. Alan Scott from Kingdom Come, and Sophie, that Dr. Fate, and Owlwoman from Justice League and Legion Alpha. It's a really cool lineup of characters, and it's a group that it almost is like somebody playing with action figures and kind of going, these should not go together, but we're gonna make them go together.
Yeah, it was funny. Going through this, it dawned on me. Something dawned on me, and I don't know if we said this during our discussion of DCKO, but the Luthor and the Joker that are in the tournament, they're the time displaced Luthor and Joker. They're not this universe's Joker. Because I know remember we had a discussion. How did they get out? What happened there?
I said that I thought it might be them.
Yeah. See, I couldn't remember what.
I want to be very clear. I said I thought it might be them. Right. Might. I'm not going to pretend I put an exclamation point on that because I did not.
Yeah.
But that was one of the avenues I was looking at.
Yeah, I didn't. Personally, I would be shocked if it wasn't them.
Yeah.
That's now I'm at the point like, oh, dummy. Of course, they'll, the time displaced people. So that's why I think those villains who showed up, those are all time displaced.
Well, it's really interesting what's going on with time because this throws a whole other curveball.
Yes, this throws everything off. And I love the explanation that we do get. Because again, we get this cool panel where we see the 9 heroes. And then again, power the page flip. You flip your page, then Terrific starts breaking it down for them. And again, I love that when as we said earlier, Terrific is getting a really good spotlight here, showing the intelligence. And I love the fact that even a couple pages earlier, they're like, hey, Terrific's got to have a notion on what's going on.
Yeah,
it's one of the reasons Terrific didn't enter to the tournament. Right here, we are seeing it. They needed him for the organization. They needed his strategy. They needed him for this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad they didn't put Terrific in the tournament. They kept him free here to help the movement. It's kind of like why I was glad they didn't put the Titans in the tournament, because the Titans were needed to help evacuate the Earth. They needed a power team to do it, even though they lost Cyborg, but it's still the rest of the team is present. I liked that notion. I love this, that, it's time displaced heroes, but as a time displaced with a little twist to it, because it's not just simply plucking them from timeline. These are phantom images of those time displaced people.
Quantum ghosts.
And I love the fact that this wasn't just they pulled them out of time and they need to be put back in time to not affect the timeline. Like, oh no, this isn't about the timeline. The timeline is broken. They're here temporarily, and until they fade away, they're going to be around. And I like that notion because it puts a notion in they may stick around even longer. We don't know if they actually will displace and go back to, non-existence, because these are paradoxes. So this is an existence outside of their timeline. So if the timeline, everything gets reset, in theory, they'll probably disappear, but also in theory, they may stick around. We could end up having all these characters stick around for a while. I think that'd be kind of neat.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's the interesting part. So imagine you discover you're a quantum ghost.
Yeah.
What does your motivation become then? You know what I mean? You're like, because you feel, you think, you have emotions. What becomes your, when you realize, oh, if we do this, I cease to exist. I wonder if that's going to come into play in any of this.
Right.
Because it's an interesting question.
Well, I 100% expect Neuron to try to take advantage of that.
Yeah, it'd be crazy not to.
Yeah. It's, they're 100%. And on one hand, you think about it, this is, the hero knowing they're going to disappear. Yeah. Are they still a hero? Do they do the hero thing and say, hey, my time's limited.
Yeah.
So let's do the job. We got a job to do.
I'm able to be purchased.
Yeah. That could be as well. There could be something going on. And I love the fact that both you and I were thinking the exact same thing about this.
Yeah.
And these are all heroes, but there is a side to it. There is hey, I don't know. They're alive. Now, again, the whole mindset of eventually the prime version of them will go on if the heroes win. But this version of them won't. Yeah, so it's a tough call. And I do love the fact that, right from the jump, they're all recognizing this and they're all looking at this, and even guys like Superman, because that is Superman. And we know it's the big blue, but he's sitting there, even he recognizes, hey, the nine of us are remnants of a sort, then living on borrowed time. Even he recognizes, hey, this is a temporary thing. And I love the fact that even Superman's the one who recognizes it, because Superman's that hero you always put on a higher pedestal. And this is Superman. Superman Blue was Superman. So it's like, I'm happy with it. I love this little twist on this.
Guy Gardner Warrior is an interesting one, because when they say, make the most of your time right now, he naturally goes, back to where fire and ice are to try and drum up some of that relationship, assuming that relationship's still going on. Yeah. And that's an interesting sort of thing when you've got this vision for what your future is going to be, and it didn't exactly play out that way. And, she basically says, I can't, we're not, and she's not revealing everything that happened. And I think that's smart for her, to kind of do that. But what an awkward situation. This is incredibly well written, because it reads very, very real life. Yeah. And it's really real human emotions between two people. You feel bad for Guy. I feel just as bad for her. And she's trying to be as kind as possible in one of the most awkward hookup situations.
Yes.
Possibly.
And this so fits Guy back then, and even Guy now. Even Guy now would try and make it play. But this really does read back to Guy Gardner Warrior, his style, his groove.
Yes.
And just the concept. And I love the fact that he has that over-the-top bravado, but then he does have the moments when he's like, hey, baby, don't worry, it's me. And he has that tender moments.
But it's not. I mean, here's what I don't want. I don't want me from like 10 years ago to come back right now and say, hey, I want to kind of hang out with your wife. No, there's so much wrong with that. But it's such a Guy story, though, isn't it? I mean, it's like, this is what Guy Gardner does.
This is what Guy does. Yes, I 100% agree. And I love that. And I love the fact that, and again, Fire and Ice are such a great team together.
Yes,
and it's not just the power set, it's just their personality, the way they're written, it's everything about them. And I love the fact that, Matt Fire's right there, right along the show. Hey, Guy, don't be an ass.
Yes.
Said again, and I do love the fact that it did affect her as well.
When he's flying away, I love the single tear.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that would be really confusing. Guy, for as ridiculous as he is at times, and for as insensitive as he can be, he does care, and cares quite a bit. He's actually he's a good guy underneath all of that. And when you see him fly away, I do feel for him. And I love that. I love in that moment that there was no winners, there was only losers. And that just felt so real. Aquaman, in going to, because we got to see that in one of the previous issues, where we got to see that Aquaman has this, this own lair.
It has his own quarters in the Watchtower, which is actually a very nice lair.
Yes.
For him. And I love the fact that in the last time when we saw him there, and this is actually I think in the Aquaman title, when he was in there, he talks about how this is where he can put stuff that he can't keep underwater. So there's all the photos, and then naturally it goes right back to that, and we see him here. And I thought that, again, and they did a great job with this, because this really is an art story. The story being told here is in the artwork. There's very minimal dialogue, no internal dialogue, which I love the fact that they show, the emotion that he goes through, the pictures, as he's looking through all the different pictures and all the stuff going on. We're getting some brilliant artwork, again, telling us the story. And I absolutely love this.
Well, and seeing everything laid before him, including his child, which it just crushes him in that moment.
Yeah.
And I love the humanity of that, of seeing what that looks like. And what happens with Mira. And, it's a shock, of seeing like his first child and then seeing what happened with Mira, seeing what happens with his new child. So many questions. And I love that Martian Manhunter comes in. You probably shouldn't be here, old friend. And, he starts filling her in on her name and, that it's his daughter and that she makes him very happy. But it's funny. For all the reasons he says you probably shouldn't be here, then he starts giving more info.
Yeah.
Which I get that. It's kind of a what do you say and what don't you in that moment. To this man that, what does a quantum ghost mean and what happens if you give the quantum ghost too much information? I really liked the awkwardness of that scene because, this is still his friend that he cares about and cares deeply. I love Martian Manhunter.
Yes. And again, this is still a living entity. Mm-hmm. They're temporarily in the universe, but it is still life. And I do love when they have compassion for them. They don't just dismiss them as, it's Phantom Ghost. It'll be gone soon. No, this is Aquaman. This is Arthur. This is his friend. And I like the hook arm look. I think that's really, it is a cool badass look. So I'm glad we've got it around for a little while.
I loved those issues and everything they did with Aquaman during that time. Peter David really stepped up, what it meant to read Aquaman. I became a huge fan from that run. Again, this is what I'm going to shout out again. If you've never read, first of all, great artwork. It had two great regular artists on it. There was the initial artist who's on it, Martin England, and I'm probably butchering his last name, but he was great. And then we had our longtime friend of the show, Jim Calafiore. I had to think through. I wanted to make sure I didn't butcher Jim's last name. Jim is one of my favorite artists too. And Jim is an example of somebody where at first I had butchered. We were lucky enough to have him on the show for an interview. And I had for years been butchering his name and finally got to correct it before when he came on the show because he gave me a pronunciation key to it because I know I was getting it horribly wrong. I wasn't anywhere near it, but he's a very talented artist that had significant runs on some of Gail Simone's work, which we really liked. But my first knowledge of his artwork was Peter David's Aquaman run, which is, if you have not read all of that, anybody listening to this, that's well worth seeking out. And it's so easy to get it now, whether you're getting it in collected editions or getting it on the app. It's really easy to access that run and start enjoying it. Then we get to the main event player, the guy who puts the terrific in Terrific 10.
The Hawk.
I like how they pulled one of the Hawks from his past lives. So his quantum displacement would be something unique and interesting like that. I really liked that decision.
Yeah, and I like the universal translation spell from the Interlac to English.
Yeah.
They throw that out there again, just giving us, and throughout the beginning of this with the Interlac and all that, I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. And then they fix it. And I like who this Hawkman is compared to all the other ones. And I'll be honest, I don't remember reading about this guy. We've seen a bunch of variations on him. I don't ever remember reading this Hawk. The golden hawk of his planet, the defender. And I like that there's still, again, with this character, there's still so many different stories out there that we've never read that a creator could create and just throw it out there and you can explain it away because, it's a variation on one of the past lives. And they've explained that he travels through time and space in this incarnations.
Jeff Johns' initial run of Hawkman, and that led into the Gray and Palmiotti run of Hawkman. If you're listening to this, if you haven't read that, I shout out JSA all the time. Those 2 runs were critical for me. I sought out everything in the past because of what you're doing right now. You're asking the question, well, who is this Hawkman? What is that? That made me want to read everything else. It's funny how an author can do what Jeff Johns did and like take all the crazy mess that is Hawkman's continuity, explain it as he just had multiple lives.
Yeah.
And now you want to read all of them. And it worked so well. And I just love that kind of stuff. It's like a mix of Highlander and Doctor Who, which has me on a hook.
Oh, big time, big time. And again, different variations on the wings. Still have the same badass look.
I'm figuring you probably like those wings quite a bit based on your...
Oh, yeah. I do prefer the metallic wings. Yeah. But as I've said in the past, you could go with the feathered wings, make them look badass, and I'm cool with it. And they do. So it all kind of fits. But again, it fits this character because this is not an earthbound Hawkman. So he would have the alien look to him, but he still has the same basic Hawk look. You look at him, that's a Hawkman. And he still has the similar name with the Qatar, So it's like, I really enjoyed this. Now, the Owl Woman is the one I want to know more about because that's the mystery. Because she just has that moment where we realize Hawkman is empathic, which again is a new power that we've never seen in a Hawk. And I love the fact that she immediately is freaked out by the fact that he can maybe go into her brain. Yeah, she doesn't want them, she stay out of my head. All right, I mean it. There's something, there's some secrets going on with Owl Woman, and that's something I want to know.
Did you read DC 1 Million?
Yes, but it's been so long I don't remember it.
Yeah, she was in that.
Okay.
So she's a character that's occurred. I love that they pulled from a variety of different sources for this team.
And I'll be honest, I didn't remember she was in DC 1 Million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh, that's kind of cool because the whole Owlman kind of, vibe and all that. So I was like, oh, that's kind of neat,
Yeah, she was created by Grant Morrison.
Nice.
So it's nice to see some of those toys come back. One of my favorite sequences was the Power Girl one.
Yes.
Because what a unique choice. They gave her like a confessional and she got a chance to talk to her current self, the Power Girl, the main Power Girl. Yeah. And, she found this sense of tranquility and peace and kind of, getting away from the anger that originally drove her. And I love how she's like, I can talk to you about something that probably nobody else can because you probably haven't let anybody know. This is, what I know about your anger. I know what happened and why, with our world being destroyed, coming from our time, and that doesn't exist anymore. And then, just the sheer devastation of all of that and what you're carrying in with you. I've discovered some things, and I just loved that she had this sense of calm, this sense of balance. Yeah. And I just love that her choice was, I want to protect this for me. Yes. And I thought that was really neat. I thought it was a very clever way to do it. Like if there's one thing I could do right now, it's I want to make sure that I have a chance to latch onto this going forward. Assuming they're the same, they're the same person. It was kind of cool. It was kind of a cool choice.
Oh God, yeah. And one of the things I like when they do this with the variations on, Supergirl, where it's not just about losing Krypton. Clark had lost Krypton, but he never really knew Krypton. Mm-hmm. She knew Krypton. She had friends. She had family. And it's, people that she grew up with. She lost all of them. She lost her purpose because she was supposed to come here to protect baby Cal. Well, baby Cal's an adult, so she lost that purpose. This one adds on to it. She had an alternate universe that was destroyed. So she lost her whole universe on top of all the other pain, all the other suffering. So when it comes to Supergirl or Power Girl, they've got levels of, trauma that nobody else can possibly have. So I love the fact that she did this. Yeah, we had everybody doing their own little variations on, what they're going to do with their time. Because Terrific told them, hey, you got a little bit of time, use the time wisely. This is what she's doing, to use the time wisely to help her current version. Again, it's that true hero stuff that I was like, man, that is going to be kind of cool. And I love seeing this. And then, it's one of those kind of cool things. I talk about always the power of the page flip, and the power of the page flip. We flip it, and we get our buddy Airwave.
I forgot about him.
I know, me too.
I absolutely loved that page. I'm so glad you're pointing this out, because that was one where I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing. They're trapped.
Oh my God. And I was like, oh, that is awesome. And I remember when we last read with this guy, they were trying to figure out, we got to get a message to the Justice League letting them know, well, here's the message. Here's what they did. And they got the message to them saying, hey, we have urgent distress. The shadow demons have attacked, heavy damage, to the vanishing point. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot all that's cool. So this was, again, I love this usage of this, and again, it's kind of like setting up, what are the Terrific 10 doing? What's their mission? Well, we're now seeing what the mission is, and I'm like, oh crud, that is a suicide mission. And I love the fact that this is the team they picked for it.
Yeah. Everything about that just worked out really well for me. Seeing this whole team go together and seeing them really at the end go through that portal and welcome to hell.
Yeah.
It's bad enough what they're going through, but they've got this Dirty Dozen style mission of going to hell, which I just loved. I didn't know that this is where this story was going to go. And man, am I digging everything about what's going on with Justice League right now.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, this is, again, and it's the interesting thing about this is all of these characters, except for Mr. Terrific, are 100% expendable. They can 100% die. Without any issue.
What does it mean to be a quantum ghost? I guess, are we actually a part of that person, or are we just? I think I'm where you are. Does that mean they're just like an echo? They're not really a person at all. That would stink.
My understanding is any one of the quantum ghosts can just disappear, and it won't affect the regular timeline.
Yeah,
they are, paradoxes that shouldn't be there. So as I said, they're living on borrowed time. So going into hell here, future storylines, they could kill off any of these characters. The only one who really is got to lock into the reality of the world is Mr. Terrific. So we're going into a story where, of the 11, 10 of them can die without any true ramifications on this universe. And I think that is something that makes you go, oh my God, what's going to happen? No, because there's always that little bit of thing where, as a general rule, you can feel comfortable that the heroes are going to survive just because it's, the comic book, Now we have a story where most of them can die without any ramifications. So I'm like, what's going to happen? Are we going to lose some? Are we going to keep all of them? Are they going to make a deal with Neron? Are they going to, fake a deal with Neron? There's so many things I can see them, some of these people, I can see them making it look like they made a deal with Neron only to double cross Neron. And I could see some of them maybe, wait, I've got so many variations going on in my head on how this story can play out that I am very excited to see where this goes, because there's so many different things, nuances they could do with this. We could have a dramatic change in hell, if you think about it. And with these heroes, if they are like, hey, we're going to disappear anyways, let's fight hell. Let's see if we can instill hope in hell. Because that is a most dangerous weapon. If you can instill hope in hell, that right there will cripple it. Because that's the foundation of what is hell. It's the absence of all love and hope and all that wonderful goodness. We now have 10 heroes who could do something about it. I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
Jim, let's talk about Batman Night Fight #1. Joshua Williamson is the writer. Dan Mora on art. Triona Farrell on colors, Tom Napolitano on letters, cover by Dan Mora, variant covers John Boy Myers, Carrie Andrews, and Fabrizio de Tomaso, and James Reed is the assistant editor. Rob Levin is the editor. Batman created by Bob Kane with Bill Finger. Superman created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster by special arrangement with the Jerry Siegel family. Apologies for name butchery. I know that happened there because This was way cool. I didn't know how they were going to pull this one off because I knew that this issue was coming. And with what happened to him in DC seemingly being killed, I'm like, how do we get Bruce in this? And how do we get the Bruce in this? Because Bruce is Bruce.
Yes.
That's
You
really
plan for this.
Yes.
How awesome is it that Batman plans for his own defeat?
Yes. Yes. So, the funny part was he knew that there was a possibility that he may need this to bring him back into the fight.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting sort of piece. I love, this opening in Gotham and the Gotham that we get to see there. Batman with his whole look and his family. This is him reminiscing about family and how things have changed for him now. He started this and he was alone. Now he's got a whole family. And the question is, do they even need him anymore? Which this is an important setting the stage for where our Bruce is at now with the family, with their relations. But even with, Jason, I thought his take on Jason on this one was really good. But we get to see everybody in the family. His take on Damian was something that really stood out for me. Damian being the heart now. Damian started out as a killer, but is shown to be a healer. And I love Damian's evolution as a character. We've for years referred to him as the little monster.
Yes.
And he's become something else and evolved. This is where continuity works in serialized storytelling, when you get to see that kind of evolution for characters. Because Damian's not the same guy. I just love seeing the four of them together anytime we get those opportunities to see the Bat family. Through Bruce's eyes. This is the rose-colored glasses. And you don't get to see the rose-colored glasses from Bruce very much at all.
No. Well, I'll tell you, it does give the idea and the notion. And this is something that it popped in my head while I was reading this. When all of this is said and done, we could potentially see the retirement of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Right here, this is the beginning, laying the groundwork for him to realize, hey, does Gotham need me? I've got, my sons are taking care of Gotham. I can step back, and we could actually potentially, there's a potential for Bruce to retire and be Bruce Wayne full time. Maybe he would do more of a, kind of like we see in Batman Beyond, where he's more of a, the eyes and ears and in the cave and stuff like that. But this is laying the groundwork for, a possible Bruce Wayne retirement, which in the past, you and I would never have, at least I can't speak for you. I know I would never have wanted that as much as I want character growth, character evolution, showing the aging. I do like having Bruce Wayne Batman. I do like having Clark Kent Superman and Diana Prince as Wonder Woman. I do like having the Trinity be the Trinity. But this really did lay down the groundwork to get you thinking, maybe not. Maybe we could actually have them retire. We can have the next generation take over in the full-time book. The full-time Batman, the full-time Detective Comics could actually be these characters instead of the people we deal with. And I love the fact that just within a couple pages, you get to see this. And I love how when, the Bruce is reminiscing, he's going through, and I love the notion, the sounds of my bones cracking is drowned out by the sirens, Gotham's lullaby. Again, this is an older man. Time does catch up with everybody. He's not Kryptonian. He's not an immortal god. He is just a man. No matter how much he's trained, his body is going to eventually give out. And I'd love that laying the groundwork for the future where this story goes, but also does get you thinking about Bruce and retirement.
Yeah, yeah. And something always keeps drawing him back in.
Yeah.
Which is a very Bruce thing. I did like when all of them were turned into statues. I love the ping, 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 and just knowing that he had something built into his suit so that way he could be pulled over. I like it worked.
Well, and I love the statues that we get there because one, Ambush Bug is there, and we saw all the people who actually died in the pre-fight.
Yeah,
they're there.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of cool. And though next to him is Black Canary, who I don't remember seeing her death scene. I don't remember seeing that. Part of me wants to go back into DCKO1 to see if I can see it. So that's kind of cool that they have all the characters. But as we're joking around, Batman prepared for this. And I love the fact that Batman's preparation wasn't just that mega mech armor that we thought, because that's what I don't know about you, but that's what I thought. Okay, that's what Bruce is going with. No, he did multiple layers, because underneath the mech armor, he's got this apocalyptic tech.
Boom tube. He's got a boom tube that's designated to automatically take him back to Gotham.
Yeah. But it's not even just that. Look at the rest of there's more tech on him. There's more. So Bruce did multiple layered of armoring for this combat. Oh, yeah. It just wasn't there. And I love that. And I'm kicking myself for not realizing Bruce would have done stuff like that. But initially I was thinking, okay, his upgrade for the fight was the mech armor. Okay. No, it wasn't just that. It was other stuff. Underneath it, in case the mech armor failed, he's got all his other weaponry and whatnot. So I was like, damn, this is cool.
Yeah, we never really see. Well, it's interesting, though. He's wearing a different outfit, because take a look at his death scene and what he's wearing there. And it's a different outfit. He doesn't have the shoulder gear on. I don't know what happened when he transferred, because I don't think that's the same outfit he was wearing when he died.
Well,
take a look at it. He's not.
It could be.
No, it could. Take a look at the front chest plate and take a look at his death scene. It is not the same outfit.
Well, if you look at a couple of pages earlier, the kind of the hookup of the wings are the same hookup of the wings. Now there's the
but it's a gray chest plate. And if you flip back over, it's not a gray chest plate. That's not the same chest plate.
Well, no, it's not. Yeah.
So I don't know what happened when he transferred.
I don't know either.
Or was that something that was built into the boom tube tech that when he was transferred, he would be transferred in with this outfit? I don't know. And so who knows how apocalyptic tech works?
Yeah, I don't know.
This could have been a planned. It just seems like because the cape's damaged and things like that. Is that all from? I'm very curious as to what happened when he transferred.
Yeah, me too. See, I'll be honest, I was thinking this armor was underneath the other armor, but you're right. It's not.
But if you take a look at him when he says, I remember, or he doesn't remember what I said, that is not the same outfit. True.
Yeah, you're right. That is a different outfit. Yeah. I'm assuming this will get explained.
Yeah, I'm getting with you that this reeks of Bruce's planning, but how did he plan that?
Well, now here's the other thing. This could be the armor he's wearing, could be this version of Batman's armor.
Oh, yeah.
So he got pulled into this version of Batman.
That makes a lot more sense to me. That the boom tube pulled him into, because the key there is when he starts off, it worked. Which means this isn't something he's tested before and does not know the end results. Did he jump into? Yeah. I like that a lot. That would make a lot of sense. I wasn't thinking that, but that makes a ton of sense. I love these Robins.
Yes.
The fact that we got this whole Robin squads. And I love how it's the bat who fell.
Yeah.
So interesting label, off of that. And we do find out what happened to that Batman in this issue. But seeing this whole Robin squad that was put together I thought that was a really cool opening.
And again, it was neat because when they first hit the scene, and obviously Robin 52, and to throw it out there, I chuckled at that. But I do love the fact that they come in there and they're not going for the kill.
No.
And I love Bruce recognizes that. He's like, they're well trained, but not by me. I recognize their style. And I love the fact that he recognizes they're not trying to take him down. They're trying to lead him somewhere. And Bruce is like, hey, I want answers, so I let them lead me. So this is a really neat moment of, the realization of Batman, who these Robins are. And you get that great reveal. I love how Bruce is like, yeah, at least my suspicions on who trained them is correct. And the swooping down, and we see Nightwing Batman. We see Dick Grayson Batman coming in. And I was like, oh, that is awesome. That is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah. And that's something that really stood out to me. The fight that starts to kick off with him and Dick Grayson is great. I warned you, Bruce, if you returned, it would be war. And just the whole cadence of that piece. First of all, I love Nightwing's Batman outfit in this world.
Yeah.
And this Dark Side tournament piece where Bruce is like, are you part of this tournament too? Bruce is like trying to rationalize this is all still part of the tournament. He doesn't realize fully what's going on here. And Dick Grayson's painting a whole picture of the Lazarus Pit. It's like, listen, you were obsessed with continuing on. And the Lazarus Pit drove you mad. That piece was really, really smart because you could see that being, we've seen a very driven Bruce Wayne. Yep. We've seen Venom, actually the concept of Venom before Bane. The concept of Venom was something that Bruce was using himself to escalate himself. So we've seen Bruce take drastic measures to keep going because he felt Batman needed to keep going and he needed to be Batman. So I love that this plays into something that is very much of the history of Batman. This is a different Bruce, though.
Yeah.
And I do like seeing the evolution of our Bruce. I loved that era where we had that very driven Batman. This Batman's still driven, but in a very different way. He's found a different level of balance. That's where that opening sequence, this issue has much more punch to it because of that whole opening family sequence where we need to understand the context of our Batman and where he's at today in order to appreciate the fact that, well, yeah, there was a time where our Batman may have been this guy, may have made this horrible miscalculation. And because the Lazarus Pit, I'm sure when he was doing it, he did it with the best of intentions. It was to keep going as Batman to try and help and save others until it wasn't.
Yeah, and I love I'm loving this dialogue back and forth. And I love the fact that when, Dick wraps him up and he's, just to explain what's going on. I love the fact that Bruce is sitting there saying, I need intel here. And Bruce doesn't fight that and let Dick explain what happened. But also do love that this notion that this dark side tournament's all in your head, Bruce. How many times have we seen stuff where it's been a variation on the earth? Like, oh no, what you're remembering is not real. This is real. So it kind of does get you wondering, okay, are we dealing now with a version that will happen or could possibly happen? What's going on here? I love that, when I'm reading a story and I still say, what's going on here? But it's not what's going on here? Like you're confused. There's the excitement of what's going to happen next. And this story really builds it. And I love it gives you little, nuances about how Bruce went in Lazarus Pit. It made him insane. Just like it did Roz, Talia, Jason, and Selina. And I was like, oh, he put Selina in there. I'm like, this Bruce lost Selina, he put her in there, and I'm now playing at how this story played out. Selina Kyle gets killed. Bruce uses a Lazarus Pit to bring her back, and she doesn't come back right.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's going to be awesome. That's all. I love that. This one little panel gets you thinking off page, gets you thinking, okay, what's going to happen next? And the actual play out of what Dick Grayson did as Batman is absolutely brilliant.
Oh, yeah. He basically perfected what he was doing with Teen Titans. So sweet.
And I love the fact that he uses the Titans in Robin Inc., in the Making the Robins, and we've seen variations on the Robins of people trying to be Robin and, multiple team concept of Robin. Having Dick Grayson and the Teen Titans actually guide them and train them. Because you got Roy Harper teaching the aiming. You've got obviously, Raven teaching magic. You got Cyborg there with the tech side of it. I was like, man, this is awesome. This is really cool going on with just this concept. And again, this is a story I would love to see, and I would love for them to tell, and actually love for it to continue on beyond these 4 issues that this series is. So I was like, damn, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, everything about that worked really well. Seeing Dick Grayson's age, like when he takes off the cowl, that was really important to understand. This is a Dick Grayson who's been through a lot. He's actually at the age where I would say maybe Bruce is at, and seeing the two of them be more contemporaries now, he's been through a lot of stuff, maybe beyond. He may be aged beyond Bruce at this point.
Yeah.
And, the inner dialogue between the two, the external dialogue between the two of them is really, really strong. I get why Dick Grayson's questioning him. His Batman went crazy. So when he's spouting crazy stuff, he's not going to go, this is Bruce. He's actually, I'm sorry. I was going to say he's not going to go, this is Bruce. I've got to believe him right away. I think he's going to go, this is Bruce. I've got to question him right away.
Yeah.
which is a tougher place for Bruce to be in than if he was in a different place. Here's my question. where the heck is Bruce?
Yeah.
Because if we're cut off from the multiverse, right? What Gotham is this? Where is this? What is this?
Well, okay, so I've got a theory.
Okay.
And the theory popped up when, Bruce first hears the ping, and he realizes he's like, I realize what's going on. He's still connected to the heart. I think he's in the heart. I don't think he ever left. So this is an alternate universe created by the heart to continue that power. Because you remember what powers that heart, the Omega energy, is combat.
Okay.
That's why they have the tournament. So this right here, this isn't real. This is all in the combat going on. That's why Bruce is
keep them battling.
Yeah, keep them battling.
Well,
that's what this is. Because when Bruce, because again, throughout this, I was thinking like you, like, is this an alternate Earth? What's going on here? But when you get to that one page after the initial fight between Dick and Bruce, and you hear the ping, 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 it's still receiving a signal, the heart of apocalypse. He's like, that's when he's like, no, here's what we got to do. Fight me. Bruce realizes he needs to keep feeding the machine. So this story, I don't know what's going to happen in this story, but we are looking at a fight going on. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Now, again,
I'm not 100% convinced of that, but I'm not against it. You're like, I think, I don't know for sure yet that that's where we're at, but I think you're making some really strong speculation. I think that it's very interesting. But here's the thing. Yours is the most rational out of the craziness that's going on that I haven't thought of that so far. That's a good, strong thinking.
Yeah. Now, again, talking about artwork, that 2-page spread of them fighting, I absolutely love that. That was, they took a lot of information, and, they packed it into, just, again, a 2-page spread. Did a brilliant job of just showing them go back and forth.
It needed all those panels that were put in.
Yes, it needed all those panels.
Yeah.
And they did a good job with condensing it this way instead of spreading it out, over multiple pages. And I love the opening where it shows half Bruce, half Dick. I'll do it, because as you said, I took you down once, old man. I'll do it again. And I love just that opening fight sequence between them, just showing, what Bruce is capable of, what Dick Grayson's capable of, the fighting that's going on. I was like, oh, that is absolutely brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant.
So it's interesting, as he's fighting Bruce, Dick almost is looking still. Like the last shot is, I'm a better Batman than you because I trust people. I don't lead with fear. He still wants his approval.
Yes.
It's so funny. And I mean, I feel that's true of fathers and sons. And I feel it plays off of that. It's really strong writing because it's a thing still. And he's basically saying to him, you did it. Gotham doesn't need you. You can stop obsessing now, which we've seen the obsessed Batman. I don't feel that's what we're reading anymore. I feel our Batman's a very evolved Batman at this point. I'm not saying he doesn't still have issues. He does.
Yeah. Oh, big time. And it's funny. These issues, this series here is going to be so beneficial for our Batman when he gets back to the regular real world.
Yeah.
Because he's going to see what happens when you obsess.
Yeah.
He's going to see how it, changed things. And like to your point with Dick Grayson wanting his approval, it's not even just that. I'm reading this as Dick Grayson is a true hero.
Yes.
Always wants to help people.
Yes.
So he wants to help Bruce, who he thinks is driven insane because of the Lazarus pit. So yes, this Bruce is a monster who killed people, but is... And, Dick Grayson still wants to help him, because that's what a hero does. And I love seeing that moment. And again, it was a great thing where we get, where Dick's reaching out to him saying, hey, Gotham doesn't, you can stop obsessing, and even he's like, please, for me, don't do this. Just stop, and Bruce is like, we got to keep fighting because he's thinking Omega energy. And I do love when we get the ending where, Dick Grayson shows him, you don't remember. You don't remember where fear of us replacing you, it drove you insane. Long before you went into the Lazarus pit, you said there can be only one Batman. There can only be you. They're not here. You killed them.
So are you thinking those statues are like the statue that Bruce was temporarily?
No, I think
I am.
Oh, you are?
I'm wondering now if I don't know. I'm looking for happy endings.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Well, I might be wrong.
Here's the thing.
Because I guess what I'm looking at is, let's go off of your theory that this is part of the whole thing that's going on with the dark side and this DCKO. Isn't that a possibility if it's in this kind of simulated world that death leads to them being these statues like Ambush Bug? Bruce coming back, isn't that proof that there is a way to come back?
No, it could be, because we know Damian and Red Hood are in the tournament.
Right.
So we know they're in the tournament, but Tim Drake was never in the tournament.
I'm not talking about the tournament. I'm talking about what happened in this tournament, this side tournament, this thing that's going on in this world.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I don't think this is the Red Hood and Tim and Damian that are in the tournament. So to speak, they're in this, whatever this is, because it's generating mother box energy, that's why that thing's pinging like crazy when they're there. So I'm wondering if their deaths generated that energy. I wonder if all of this is to generate that Omega energy. Because Bruce said that, he knows what's going on. I'm very anxious for next issue. I want to know more about what's going on here. I'm starting to speculate, kind of like you are. You kind of sparked an interesting little topic thread here. I could be completely off. I don't really care if I am. I'm just wondering now, though, going off of the theory that, Bruce is onto something. He references it. The mother block's in my armor. It's still receiving a signal from the heart of Apocalypse. So, that he's trying to plead with Dick, saying, I think I know what's happening here. I know what happened with the tournament and what I have to do. And, Bruce is like, fight me. We need to fight like this. Is the result of those dying because of the need to keep the fighting going in this world to generate that energy? I don't know.
Yes. I don't know. It's one of those things where, like you, I've got, I'm theorizing Bruce is still in the heart of Apocalypse. He never left, even though his apocalyptic technology, it just got this, and it's still generating energy, and he's kind of trapped in the system. Maybe he'll eventually be able to get out. I don't know. But I'm taking it that the story that the Apocalyptic Army created, the armor created, was that those three dead so that he and would keep fighting Dick Grayson and the Robins. Not
those events. Do you think those events actually happened?
In this universe, yes. In this pocket universe, yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that I think that generated energy the same way that what's going on with Bruce and Dick is generating energy right now.
I agree.
I'm wondering if that means that Bruce could bring them back the same way that he was able to come back. He's got the technology.
Yeah. Maybe. Again,
if it was the same method. I'm saying if it's the same method. I guess what would the reason be? I guess maybe to make this a happier world. I don't know. I don't know what. We'll see where this goes. Yeah. And I could be way off. And I'm fine if I am. Like I said, it's fun to speculate on this. I'm trying to piece through what's going on. Want to talk some Aquaman?
Yes.
So our next discussion is going to be of Aquaman number 11. The writer is Jeremy Adams. Nimit Malavia is on art. Rex Locus on colors, Dave Sharp on letters, Gleb Melkinov on the main cover, Edwin Galman, Ozgur Yildirim, John Boy Myers on the variant covers, and apologies for name, I know that was name butchery, Michael McAllister, associate editor, Paul Kaminsky, editor, Aquaman created by Paul Norris and Mort Weisinger. And I love that with the rich history Aquaman has that we're acknowledging, and I want to see more books do that, acknowledging some key characters like that and their creative. Aquaman, I am an Aquaman junkie at these days, and this book has just been great. This one I love. Something you said earlier about the Justice League Unlimited tie-in, how this is continuing the story. This is continuing very much the Aquaman story.
Yep.
And I love that it's merged the Aquaman story with what's going on in DC. So if you're an Aquaman reader, you're brought up to speed, but you're continuing on with this I love this story in Aquaman right now. I want to know what's going on, as we got the Lost Kingdom of Atlantis, where we're seeing Mera with their daughter. I'm starting to have questions, and we'll talk about it by the end of this issue. As far as what's really going on with, is that really the daughter?
Which one, the baby or the adult?
The adult.
Yeah, I'm having those questions too. I think I know what page I'm willing to bet I know what page you're referencing.
Yeah, or there's something going on with her. I mean, we'll talk about that when we get there, but this story's getting really, really intriguing, because what's really happening and where is the question I've got there. It's just good. It's good to see Tempest and Jackson and I love these continued, because Jackson's a character who I really loved, and I'm glad that he wasn't dropped. There's something magical about the Undersea Kingdom and its architecture. You know, yeah. I'm just looking at the Lost City of Atlantis, and I'm like, I just love everything about this. I'm into fantasy, stories and things like that, Tolkien and Sword of Shannara and that kind of stuff. This scratches that itch so much so with the idea of these fantastical underwater kingdoms. It's got to be hard for a mother to do what Mera's doing.
Yeah.
Mera's recognizing that right now, I need to get involved and start figuring out our mystery here, because this can't stay as it is. And Jackson would be the one that she'd trust with her daughter. So that way she can go and try and save Arthur and the universe. She recognizes she needs to do something here. And I'm so glad Mera's, you and I are both big Mera fans. I'm so glad Mera's still alive. And I'm very curious to see where this particular story is going to continue going with the two of them. But it was great to see her in the beginning featured throughout this issue, because I would read a Mera book.
Yes.
Hands down. And but I love her here because of the Team Aquaman.
Oh, God, yeah. And again, Blackest Night, that story with Mera, you and both were 100% continue the story with her.
Yep.
Have the Aquaman title be about Mera. Or give her own title, do whatever, have her be when she was part of the Justice League. I was like, she's perfect. This is awesome. Because they gave her enough of her own variations on who she is and what she's about. They took this character and they gave her a solid personality. I loved it. And I was like, and this is a really cool moment, because we're seeing whatever is trapping them. There's something, an entity or somebody preventing them from being freed. So it makes you wonder, the version that Aquaman dealt with previously in the story, was that real? Was that fake? And I love the fact that we have that mystery, that variations on what's going on here.
Yeah.
Is this just because initially I was thinking it was just a time bubble, and I was thinking, okay, we're going to have a time bubble. Then now I'm thinking there's an outside party in play that we don't know about yet. Who is that outside party? I'm not certain yet. I don't have enough theories on it. But I do this sequence here where where Garth opens up the portal for her, like, hey, only one person can go through. And so she's got to go through, leaves her daughter with Jackson, and she's going out there to save the universe, to save her husband and save the universe. That really gives you indication, okay, there's something else going on here. And I love that. And as the story plays out, fingers are getting pointed in at Aquaman's daughter as to who she actually is. Is she actually the daughter of Aquaman and Mera, or is she somebody else? And I think, and I'm interested about that.
Or being manipulated on some level.
Or being manipulated, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot here that I'm really questioning at the moment. I'm loving the interchange between the two of them. And just I do like the team up between them, because they do a real good job of selling you on this is a father and a daughter who are really connecting through what they did. And she's dropping the right amount of nuggets, filling him in on her own upbringing.
Yeah.
Keeping him connected, which is interesting. I'm questioning her so much right now.
when they first introduced her, she was very cold and distant to him and blah, blah. And I was worried that that's where they were going to keep going with it, with the distant daughter who the father is desperately trying to have a relationship with. And I'm like, it's been in so many different stories. It's been played out. I love the fact that they move it forward where she is interacting with him. They are having some dialogue. I love the fact that he compliments her later on about her use of trident. She's like, well, mother taught me well, and there is that connection. Those two are working together as a team. I like seeing that. But there are, the rest of the Justice League Blue, I'm like, this is a really interesting thing. You got the Nautilus, you got our buddy Titanus. I love the guy. The Sorcerers, I always have some question on. Because we got multiple magical people here, and the others are trapped in a magical bubble. Makes me wonder, are these sorcerers associated with that magical bubble? Or is it somebody else? I don't know. And I do love the fact that with Arthur now, with his dedication to protecting the planet, whenever there's trouble on the earth, on the oceans, he's recognizing it. Yeah. And he's moving there. And I love the fact that, the Nautilus is barely keeping up. Nautilus is this futuristic super sub. And they barely are keeping up with Aquaman. And I love the fact that the daughter and the mermaid are also, trying to keep up. They're behind him. He is leading the way because of the immense power that he has. It's kind of cool.
Well, he's got Mira's power in his, which is really great. On the boat, the yacht, it was, I am digging Zan being in this book. I didn't know that I wanted it. I've mentioned this before. I didn't know that I wanted Zan in the Aquaman book. I want Zan in the Aquaman book. Zan is perfect in this. I love his interview.
Fits so well.
Yeah.
Fits so well.
Lady in the Lake was cool to see. Just because I'm a big fan of Arthurian legend and all that kind of stuff. And, I geek out over the whole Excalibur piece with this. Everything about this is what I love about the wackiness that is Aquaman, because it feels so different. Seeing Zan's competence with his powers is something that I really like too. Not making him seem like he's adult. I loved Super Friends growing up. And I do want to feel like Zan right now has advanced, and, go ahead.
Well, I like the fact that he, because in the one dialogue, you can tell he's like, I can somehow turn into water at will. I love the fact that he wasn't completely aware of how he's able to do it.
Because, before he needed Jaina.
Before he needed Wonder Twin powers activate. Now he can do it, and it's funny because, again, it makes you question what is actually going on with all these people who were trapped in the blue before, who are now in the regular world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they bring something back with them? Did his powers change? Because I do love the fact that nobody knows where Jaina is, and that's, again, how do we, I got a theory on that.
Okay.
And my theory is they merged. They somehow merged.
But he's not turning into animals.
No. But because she, it's one of those things where her essence got put into him. That's how he's able to do shape of water. He's able to do the water powers at will.
I'm wondering if it has to do with being so close to Aquaman.
Could be that as well.
Because of his connection with the blue. I don't know. I think there's actually going to be a quest for Jaina at some point. I like to see it.
Yes.
It seems like, and we're wondering where Jaina is. It seems like at some point in time you'd want to find her.
Yeah. And you think about it, it's only been a day or so, and they've reported to the Justice League. The Justice League is looking into it, and right now, just the craziness of what's going on, he's just, reacting to this. And because this, again, they put a nice note in there saying that this takes place before the tournaments begin.
Yeah.
Even before all of the craziness that the pre-tournament stuff. This is just the part of time when the apocalyptic furnaces are just starting to appear on Earth. So I like the fact that they gave us a good timeline so we know what's going on, which it hasn't started yet. So we know that, once we see when the evacuation started, then again, we'll know timeline where this fits in place. So,
and again, these books aren't being released, which is fine. They aren't being released chronologically, which is okay. I actually like that some books are going back and filling in backstory, whereas other books are running in parallel.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily need all of them and nor do I want all of them doing the same thing. I like where this is at because this is a story I didn't know I wanted that I want.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the creative team on this book's doing a great job with this story. Mira going back to her home, and especially with the fact that that's the home where she was supposed to hate Aquaman. She's supposed to kill Aquaman. And going back there and finding her former, the guy she's supposed to marry beforehand, sitting on what's left of the throne of her people,
Yeah.
was an intriguing sort of piece. And does that play into any of this at all?
Yeah. Well, I wonder, again, what happened to Isabel? What happened? How this all play out?
Yeah.
That's, again, going to be interesting to see. It's all part of the story.
Yeah.
And it's slowly unfolding. And I love the fact that how they're giving us this story.
Yeah. The Deep Six and them being behind this crevice that was in there, in the next cave, and that they're building a volcanic engine of apocalypse under the ocean. And not only will that affect life underwater, but it will affect life above the ground as well. It totally, Aquaman recognizes it. He's dealt with apocalypse and Darkseid many, many times. I love that Titanus is like Titanus Crush. Titanus is like his Hulk. And I absolutely love his play off of this team. More of him, more of this, the Aquaman squad. This is why you need supporting cast in a book. They add so much more to the main character. These are characters that would not carry their own title, but oh my gosh, here are they amazing. I mean, it's just such an amazing and well-written supporting cast. I so want to see him go and doing what he's doing. This is a great team.
Oh, God. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I love him going in there, going full on just Hulk smash mode, Titanus crush mode.
Yep.
And then the rest of the team are hitting in there. His daughter had a little twinkle in her eye when she realized, hey, I can kill these things. That right there. Again, now maybe because of the world she grew up with, she didn't grow up with the loving mother and father and everything peaceful. She grew up in a war-torn world that was constantly in battle. So that kind of hardens your heart a little bit, but some of these sequences with her just enjoying killing people, the enjoyment of the destruction made me wonder, is this really her? Is this somebody else? Or is it because of the circumstances she had in her upbringing, different than what she would have had if Atlantis hadn't been lost?
Yeah.
So those are the things that it makes me wonder. On the one hand, I'm thinking, yes, this is actually her. On the other hand, I'm thinking, no, this is somebody pretending to be her.
Or she's been manipulated.
And I don't know yet. And
how was she? Here's my question: was she really raised the way that she's saying? Because okay, let's go another route with this. What if it's really her, but something's been done to her?
Exactly. Oh yeah. And again, that's, as I said before, when I first was reading the Aquaman stuff, I was thinking time bomb. Mm-hmm. Now I'm thinking we have an external force manipulation of the circumstances.
Yeah.
And who is the manipulator? I don't know. Lady in the Lake, our sorcerer, also the sorcerer, Arion. Those are two powerful entities who could have maybe done some manipulation, back in that world. I don't know. There could be a completely another party. One of Darkseid's minions could have been doing some stuff. This could all be some type of minion like that. There's a lot of what ifs and possibilities that can play out in this. And I think that for me, because initially going into this story, I was thinking time bubble. They were trapped in a time bubble, and this is just her. I was thinking, okay, this is a storyline for her to explain an adult daughter and get rid of the baby. But they're not getting rid of the baby. We still have the baby around.
And I
love that. And I'm like, so because again, variations throwing out in my head of the adult daughter sacrificing herself to save the baby version and get all those people out. The adult daughter being a bad guy and being somebody else who's pretending to be the baby. The adult daughter being what she appears to be, the grown up version of their daughter. And we may have two versions of her in this universe. I don't know. There's so many different things that could possibly happen from this story. And I think that is something that, the possibilities running through my head, the off page, what about this? What about that? What about that? It does get me going, and like you said earlier, I am so Aquaman happy because of these stories, because of all these variation possibilities. And I do love this new power level that Aquaman tapped into. It's not just him and Mira's powers. Yes, he has that, but he is an avatar of the blue. He's tapping into the raw power of the ocean. And you think about,
which is what Mira did.
She was the aqua telekinetics, manipulation, and magic. He has a level beyond Mira. I think he initially thought he had Mira's powers. I think he does. Deeper. He got them from tapping it deeper.
He got them from absolute power.
Yeah. Yes. And I think he got more than just that. I don't think Mira, if absolute power never happened and Mira was just there, Mira wouldn't be able to do the stuff that Aquaman could do. Aquaman tapped into something deeper than what Mira could do. And again, he even says he's the avatar of the blue. That's a level, beyond, that's Swamp Thing kind of level. Swamp Thing's the avatar of the green. He's the avatar of the ocean. So with him, he's got a deeper power set. He's able, and I think last issue, Zan was talking about it with Lady in the Lake and in Arion about how he now has godlike powers. And those two were a little bit concerned about that. And he's like, hey, having another superpowered hero is awesome. And they're like, I don't know about this. I'm seeing that now. I'm in agreement with the sorcerers. And again, I do throw out that I think there's a chance they could be bad guys, but I don't know if they are. There's so many variations on what this could possibly be that I'm looking forward to it.
Well, and when you take a look at the daughter and the perverse pleasure that she's getting at, yes, father, end them. Yeah. It's certainly the dangers there. And that's what, I think that's what part of what Mira's trying to do is to save him from that.
Yes.
Which, that part is, I'm loving the whole storyline with Mira.
Yeah. And I do love the fact that Arthur is a little bit concerned by the power levels, but again, his daughter is right there. Very impressive. That's awesome. These are the sequences that made me wonder, okay, is this actually his daughter? Is there somebody else in that shell that's, doing this, or is there, I don't know. And I love the fact that there's so many questions I have about this, and I do love seeing Arthur unleash his power, but then realize, man, what was that? Was there something in the water in you, Arthur? Something out of control. He's recognizing he's tapping into something that's beyond, that he shouldn't be tapping into. And I love that.
Yeah, there comes a point in time where combining powers and that type of thing it sounds all great on paper. And I wonder how much of that is also a combination of the power he already had along with Mira's power, and is that creating some kind of amalgam? And the fact that look who his dad is, and look what his family heritage is, I should say. When you look back at, I'm sorry, it's his mother's father. When you take a look at his grandfather, I guess I should say, he comes from a magic heritage, and having all of that be a part of it is something that's interesting as well. Not his earthbound father, it's more of his grandfather. Yeah. This is a really, really interesting story that's going on here, and I love everything about this. Lori, Superman's former girlfriend in The Mermaid, I like that she looks at this and she's shocked by it. Yeah. The daughter, though, there's something about her face in both of them. She's perversely driven by this.
She's enjoying it.
She's egging it on. Yeah. Wow. It was, there was something there's something really just interesting going on here. I love Aquaman. Aquaman's at its best when you see the humanity and relatability of Arthur. He's not perfect. He's trying to be good, but he's also a king, and he's used to power and having power. And I thought Jason Momoa, when he played him on the screen, did a good job of capturing that kind of primal side of Aquaman that comes out. There's so much of that in the Peter David run that I think plays. I love so much of this character. And I love how that he feels awkward with the Regal side of, his legacy and who he should be. This has been a great story. I'm glad Aquaman's one of the tie-ins, just because it's. I love talking about the character. It's interesting to see what's going on there. So you got an interesting point as far as, is there something more with the powers? I've been taking it that Mira's powers combined with what the powers that he already had kind of kicked up to 11, like you put a cocktail together that shouldn't be there. Yeah. But it'd be interesting to see if there's something else at work beyond that. And there's clearly some manipulation going on of some sort.
Yeah. The story is just beginning, and I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
We are Crystal Men from Mercury. We have no quarrel with you.
RagingBullets.com is our show website where you can find details on upcoming releases. We feed into X/Twitter. We also feed into our Facebook fan page. We are proud to be part of an amazing Facebook group community. And there's always discussion going on over there. And actually seems more and more lately. And I really appreciate everyone's doing some posting there, because I'm finding all kinds of news articles, even collected editions. We just found out, like Legends, that we're going to be talking about down the road. We do have this on the slate. It's going to be releasing an omnibus. The omnibus that they're releasing collects the original miniseries and all the tie-ins. So it's going to be a really cool volume for that. But that I discovered from our Facebook group. So I want to thank everyone for posting news and information there and just things as they're finding them out. We've got a great crew of people over there that just recognize there's certain things that are relevant. Post anything about comics, pop culture. If you have a podcast or a blog, feel free to shout it out. I feel like this is a community aspect here. And if we can do something to point people your way, I'm always all for that. We are sponsored, as always, by DCB Service and InStockTrades.com. Mr. Segulo, what's going on over at DCBService.com?
DCKO Green Lantern Galactic Slam one shot, 38% off, $371. And DCKO The Kids Are All Fight one shot, 38%, only $371. Thank you, DCBS.
Over at InStockTrades.com, once again, we've got DC Finest, Green Lantern, Earth's Other Green Lantern trade paperback. This includes the comics debut of Guy Gardner. This is a 608-page book, $39.99 regularly, 55% off, only $17.99. I can't give these books more of a recommendation than I do. They're beautiful volumes. I absolutely love them. They're affordable. And it's great on a budget right now. If you're trying to get more reading in, these are the volumes you want to seek to get some really cool stories of DC history. And I want to thank DCB Service and InStockTrades.com for supporting the show. The About Us section of our show website is where you can find details on how to connect with us on gaming platforms and personal social media. I'm a regular co-host on Is It Jaws, which is a bi-weekly film review podcast. Paul Spataro was kind enough to invite me on that show, and we do some really cool recordings with a great cast of people based on the different film genres or film series that we're reviewing. And we use the Jaws 1 through 4 scale for film reviews. So if you are interested in film reviews at all, please join us over there. Our next episode, we're going to be back and we're going to continue talking about DCKO. We are going to do Titans 29, DCKO number 2, and Superman number 32 as we get close to wrapping up November, just in time for December and more events that are going, because that's a fight month, which is December. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting one. We are going to, after that, take a 1-week break from DCKO, and we're going to take a look at the 2 DC Marvel crossovers with Deadpool and Batman, and a wide variety of other characters, because I think that's a really interesting thing. And then we'll be back to DCKO again. So we will see you next week.
Bye.
Strategery. What is that supposed to mean? That's a word that I have never seen. Do you exist? Strategery. Suddenly, I don't feel as smart as I used to be. I couldn't find it in a dictionary. Oh, what the heck is strategery? Why I need to know, I don't know, it's just my way. I asked a friend I know, and they told me go away. strategery. Maybe it's something that is wrong with me. I may need a pill from the pharmacy. Maybe that will cure my strategery. Why I need to know, I don't know. It's just my way. Just because I don't know, I'll just say it anyway. Strategery. A definition isn't meant to be, or at least one that I can see. I'm so confused. Strategery.